Hi there guys, Sam here, welcome back to another video. Join me once again in my Mark 7 Golf R to talk about the new RS3. It's been properly announced as of yesterday, the 19th of July. I'm filming this on sort of the 20th of July in the morning, about 7 AM. And yeah, to talk a little bit about the car, talk a little bit about how for most Golf R owners, it's kind of the next step up. And certainly for me, sort of having this car for 4 years, it's certainly a car that I've been thinking about. I'm just going to run you through a little bit of the basics of the car. Is it something that could potentially, replace this car for me? And also, more importantly, for my channel, is it something that could replace your car? You know, this is a community channel. Really interested to know your kind of thoughts on it. And obviously, like, share, subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. Let's get straight into this. So the new RS3, I'll put pictures on screen just a little bit around it. Now, I should warn you, the kind of pictures that Audi kind of show, obviously top spec RS3s. These are like Vorsprung with like carbon brakes and everything. It does come in saloon or sedan and sort of hatchback variant. Obviously, the hatchback's more practical, like the one that I have, but I actually really do like the looks of saloon. I just think it's a very traditional type of car, and yeah, they both look great. Now, obviously, if you're speccing it to the max, you can sort of be spending around 65,000 pounds plus quite easily, which is understandable for an RS3. You know, to run you through the stats, it's still got that 2.5 litre 5-cylinder engine. That's the biggest heart of the engine, or heart of the car. It's really what you're paying the money for, if I'm honest. 400 horsepower, which is the same as the last generation, I should stress, but it's got a little bit more torque. I believe it's 500 newton meters, so sort of 20-30 newton meters better off. And around the rev range, this is the weird thing now, which a lot of normal people who just get a car wouldn't really care about or know about, but the power kicks in a little bit earlier, so you're actually getting more power. So there you go, it's going to be a quicker car, and allegedly not 60 times faster than sort of like its competitors like the A45S. Audi normally being quite conservative with their 0-60 figures, but yeah, to be honest with you, a lot of those RS3s have been sort of sub 4 seconds, which is pretty insane for just a normal hatch. Now, prices wise, so I checked on the Audi configurator to see if I could configure it. You can't just yet, it's not available sort of till mid-August until you can configure it and potentially order it, is from my understanding. I think you can inquire about it now. That's just from what I saw from checking through the website. Now, from what I've heard, starting price is around £50,000. 50,900 is sort of what I've been sort of hearing. And then obviously with Audi, you can easily spec 5, 10, 15 grand worth of options if you want. You can get like carbon, obviously you can get the ceramic brakes, different styling packs, all this kind of things. But yeah, I'd be interested to know exactly what it comes with as stock, as standard, because obviously I talk about the Mark 8 Golf R a lot, and yes, with a performance pack, with like leather seats, with a pan roof, with dynamic chassis control, you know, with special paint, with a few options like head-up display and bits, you know, you're quickly running up close to £50,000. So basically, you got a choice of a top spec Golf 8R or a bottom spec RS3. And as you kind of know from my car being a 3-door manual, I kind of like the lower spec. I like the essence of the car. That's the main thing for me. And from what I've been hearing and what I've, I've seen a few videos of the car sort of been driving around and obviously drifting around. Yes, it's got a drift mode. It's got the same sort of clutch packs at the back of it as in the Mark 8 Golf R. I've driven the Mark 8 Golf R. I felt it drove really, really well, and it was a really nice sort of road car to have. So if the RS3 is that, plus a little bit more power, plus a very exciting 5-cylinder engine, it certainly ticks a lot of boxes. I think it looks fantastic. It certainly looks a lot more premium as well. There's a lot going for it. You know, those exhausts look pretty cool, although inside it's just sort of like 2 small exhausts in each of them, right around the sort of the traditional ovals that you see in the RS3. There's a lot to be excited about. I think the one thing to be wary of is that noise. Now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to spend £50,000 on a hatch to hear sort of, you know, artificial sound through the speakers. That's just my personal opinion. My car does it, but I don't mind it because you kind of mix it up. You know, without it, yeah, it just sounds like a normal car, really. There's nothing really to shout about the CA888 engine. With it turned on, yeah, it does pump it up. You know, it entertains your passengers as well, so it's cool. But in a car where the engine is actually quite the heart of it and should actually sound very good, you know, I've heard RS3s in the past, I've been in RS3s in the past, they are fantastic. You don't want that. So that's the one thing that I'm kind of wary of. With the new OPF and the particulate filters, and as the months and years go on, the rules are getting more enforced. And I know manufacturers can work quite hard to try and get around it. it's going to be tricky. Now, this car does come with an optional where you can get like a performance exhaust system, which can improve, well, which should improve things, but until you hear it and see it for real, I think that's the main thing to really see. Because yeah, I've gone on about it before, I would have loved the Mark 7 Golf R to have that 2.5 litre engine. They were designing it VW, and obviously it's the VW and Audi group. It could have happened. Now I feel they've got it. I've mentioned in the past it's kind of like a Golf R Plus. I still kind of stand by that. I think it really is, and it's obviously more refined and more premium. I love the interior. You know, I love the interior of the S3 as well. It's very almost like Lamborghini-esque, which I think is a good thing. Obviously part of the same group, so that's really, really cool. And the wheel looks really, really nice. Yeah, there's a lot of nice touches to it. Obviously automatic gearbox only. You get sort of like a little bit more premium sort of like shift paddles in the back. It's not just your sort of like grey plastic. Yeah, so I like it, and I like the looks, like I've said before, and obviously everything is anyone's own sort of personal opinion, but I'd be interested to know your thoughts in the comments, being a community channel now that it's sort of been properly announced and more details have kind of been shared about the car. Being a person who've recently been fortunate enough to drive a 992 Turbo S, which was absolutely brilliant, I'll put a link on just above on that. I always saw that as like the ultimate car, could do everything, you know, 4-wheel drive, comfortable, you could still just about get away with it on a track, and yeah, it just ticks all the boxes. The RS3 arguably is the same kind of thing in terms of a daily, and obviously more practical. And in the real world, okay, that Turbo S was pretty unbelievably fast, you know, 650 horsepower, it's a different level, but you know what I mean. You can only go so fast in the real world. 400 horsepower is enough, and it's going to shift. And that's something that's really, really cool and really, really exciting, that they've actually been able to keep that engine. You know, if it didn't have that 5-cylinder, I don't think many people would be talking about it. Just be honest with you. I think it's quite interesting that they haven't obviously massively, well, they haven't increased the power officially on paper, that they're still sort of like, they're believing in sort of like the brand. And in terms of the price structure, as much as I felt that the Golf R crept up a little bit too high because of obviously the fan base, and, you know, channels like mine sort of show that there is a big community about it, I think it's enabled the RS3 to kind of lower itself down a little bit, which I think is good, which is what you want. You know, I believe it was sort of like high 40s, the last car, you know, 46, 47,000. So for only a few £1,000s more to get the new gen, even if it is a bottom base spec, I think that's not too bad. And again, it can make it quite accessible. And with all these delays in the Golf 8Rs, you know, I do wonder if some people might think, is it worth the extra 10 grand? You know, if you're getting a base spec, that's what it is. Or if you're getting sort of like a middle of the range spec, is it worth the extra 5 grand? You know, it's something really worth considering. And unfortunately, it's just the way in this world. You know, new technology, new things come out so quickly. Car technology is so far above sort of just normal day-to-day stuff. They're really top of their game, and I think we're going to miss hot hatches like this. They're going to really struggle to get these type of cars coming out again, and particularly obviously in full petrol format, no hybrid system, no electric sort of add-ons. It is what it is, and I think it's kind of great to see. And is it kind of like that last hurrah? You know, we are going to eventually have to accept petrol cars are no longer going to exist, particularly in the UK anyway. And I commend Audi for still sort of bringing it out. Now, in comparison, just briefly, to the A45S, price-wise, potentially could undercut it, which is quite cool. But then, as you know probably about my channel, how I kind of try to talk about the real world, A45S has been out a year or two now. You know, you could get a 2-year-old A45S for coming towards sort of the £40,000 mark. And that's when you look at the big picture and you're like, I could get a brand new Golf 8R, or I could get an A45S, which on paper has more power, 420 horsepower. Reviews have been really good. I think it looks all right as well, particularly with the aero. I think it looks great. Obviously, a bit of revolutionary infotainment as well. It's got in there. So you've got your options, which I think is great. Same with the RS3. 2 years' time, the car's going to be worth a little bit less. Although I know the RS3s hold their money so well. Old gen RS3s, you can still easily sort of spend £40,000, even for a used one. So you know where things are kind of at. And particularly, you know, we've all had a tough time. We just want to enjoy ourselves. And I think cars like this are kind of setting the bar, really. and they're almost becoming even more appealing if that was possible. As for me, as I've said, I'll keep an eye on it. It'll be interesting to know the official price, if it is around sort of £50,000. Okay, it sounds like a lot of money, and it certainly is a lot of money, but when you consider in 2 years' time, based on residuals, they tend to be pretty strong. It's not necessarily completely throwing your money away. I think the big thing for me, it'll be interesting to know what you think, is the noise. Does that 5-cylinder actually sound any good? That's what you have to find out, and unfortunately you have to kind of see it and hear it in person to get that. Potentially YouTube videos aren't necessarily going to do that, but yeah, let's find out, and yeah, let's see where we are. I've heard one video of it sort of drifting around on sort of like a German YouTube channel. I couldn't work out if it was being piped in through the speakers, but it did sound like a 5-cylinder, so that was the main thing. Let me know if you're excited about it. Let me know if you are a Golf R owner. Obviously, that's the main people on my channel as well. Is it something that you're thinking of? If you've got a Golf 8R, or you're planning on ordering one, is it something that you're looking at? You know, I talk about the 45 edition. There's lots of cars, sort of 40 grand, 40 grand, 40 grand mark. Would you be thinking this is your next car, or would you be thinking, well, you know what, this is taking so long, you know, I'm not getting my car until September, October, November, I might as well just scrap it and go for an RS3. You know, now potentially production is going to become a little bit better in the world. You know, who knows what's going to happen. But I wanted to share that video on you, share some cool images of the car. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Obviously, styling and everything is all personal preference. I like the car. I think it's cool. And I'd be really interested to know your thoughts. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers, guys.